I'm excited to start doing some of that groundwork of like helping you guys take the start that you've done and make it a leap, and see where we can go from that. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and we can get going from here. So I think one of the easiest ways to kind of get engage with Nearpod is through actually joining a lesson. So if you guys don't mind, if you have another device nearby, or if you want to open up another window, you can go to join.nearpod.com, and you're going to type in HMU7L, where it asks you to type in a lesson code. And I'll give you guys a few minutes to do so. Again, you guys are going to join.nearpod.com, and it's going to ask you to type in a code, and that code is going to be H as in hair, M as in money, U as in umbrella, 7, and L as in love. And it's not case sensitive at all. So as we're waiting on the few other folks, I'm going to start with some kind of household things that you guys will be able to use and see. And it's okay also if you guys want to follow along just on my screen and not really engage as a student. That's perfectly fine. I like for you guys to engage as a student because it gives you guys the experience of like what your students would be experiencing with Nearpod. But if you would like to just see today how it would be as a teacher, looking at my screen would do that for you. So a couple of things. If we're looking at the top left of my teacher screen, you're going to see, of course, we always have this code here. So if students are coming in late to the lesson, or if you're looking to send this out, you can send it through email, social media, as a link, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, however you would like. At the bottom left, I have my screen that lets me know who's actively participating in a lesson. So right now I have Danielle Washburn, I have Leah, and I have Matt. And that list has those green lights by these names. If for whatever reason Danielle was to leave and come back, you would see that light go from green to red. So it kind of gives me a little bit of a gauge as a teacher who's actively participating. In the middle, I have my scrubber where I'm able to kind of move around my lesson if I needed to skip around at all. And then at the bottom right, I can toggle to show or hide student names during my lesson. And I can access this at any point during my lesson. So Nearpod, of course, I'm sure you guys, a lot of folks have got introduced to Nearpod in many different ways. Before COVID made it a must-have, it was just something that folks were using to increase student engagement, add in more formative assessment to online teaching with devices, flexing between in-person and distance learning. But, I think now with COVID, this has become something that's just like, a must-have, right? We're doing a lot of remote learning. There's a lot of asynchronous, synchronous learning happening. And how can we support you guys in doing so? I think Nearpod has a lot to offer, right? Part of it is our content. So I've been working with Danielle and getting a lot of you access to some of the paid features like our content. But we have over 8,000 lessons that are ready to teach and align to state standards. And also, you could still use what you have already, right? So if I have a bunch of lessons within Google Slides, I can use those and Nearpodize those, adding in, some formative assessment that might look like some Nearpod 3D. It might look like a virtual field trip. It may look like some open-ended questions. Whatever I want, I can add those into my lessons that I already have, or you can choose from some of the lessons that we have in our lesson library. This is also something I said that was used before COVID when there was just devices in the classroom. This can be used for distance learning, or in kind of I think where a lot of folks are right now is that hybrid stage. And, it works with any of those different flexes. So definitely something that's compatible with, anything that you guys are doing and any device that you guys are using as well. So I created a small little short lesson because I know we don't have too much time today, and I wanted to leave some time for any questions. But this is a lesson on our solar system. And I'm going to ask you, my folks who are in the lesson, to engage with me on this collaborate board. So this is a collaborate board. I like to start my lessons with this. It's very low stakes, right? There's no right or wrong answer with this here. And this is just prompting me if I would like to approve students' posts before they go. So I'm going to click no, and I'm going to apply it for the rest of this lesson because I know I have some, responsible folks on here. So just want to engage my students, kind of get some crowdsource info from them. I'm asking, what do you already know about the solar system? I'm going to join in as well. And like I said, I like this because there's no real, I guess, like stress on these answers, right? Pluto's controversy, right? So look, that's exactly what I would like to see as a teacher, right? I'm kind of putting a discussion out there, and students are going to build on top of it, right? Sometimes it's a question that's just you're going to get just feedback directly from your students, but a lot of times I like to build a little bit of a discussion from these collaborative boards because I think it gives us a chance as a teacher to have all of our students engaged. And for some of those students who are a little bit less prone to answering out loud, this is perfect because on my screen you're seeing the names, but on your student screen you won't see any names on this activity. So it would look something a little bit more like this, but without the asterisks.
Oliver, it reminds me of one of Google's newest products with Jamboard. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but that's what this looks like to me.
Yeah,
I know it's one of Matt's favorite new toys.
Yeah, definitely very, very similar to Jamboard, Padlet, if you're familiar with any of those two. But yeah, exactly, right? Just that what good way to just engage with your students. After we kind of start off the lesson and get a little bit of where we're going with this, I might want to take my students and immerse them into the concepts, right? I haven't put necessarily any text in front of them yet. So this could be a good chance for us to take a virtual field trip, right? We're talking about Pluto, Mars, all of this stuff. So why not, actually go to our solar system? So here's an actual immersive kind of, virtual reality of Mars, my VR, and move around. I may ask my students, what do they observe? Can anyone see Pluto? I know we were talking about Pluto. Are we able to see Pluto here? If there is something that you see, I saw Danielle mention the stars and planets. You see a star. The sun is, of course, a star. So maybe that's something that folks are pointing out. But this is just a good opportunity to continue to engage your students, right? If you noticed, I hadn't put any like real text in front of my students yet. I'm just getting them excited about what we're learning. And I think, the Nearpod offers different activities that can help to do so.
Well, Oliver, that it's my favorite thing to talk about is the VR part of it, and super excited that you brought that up. It's really an awesome part of Nearpod, and Heather is watching right now and said that student engagement is everything, and to me, there is nothing more engaging than VR and getting students involved with that.
Oh, 100%. And I actually had a little bit of a deeper dive with our VR content with Jack, and some of the things that I was able to show him is, our 350,000 different virtual field trips that your students can have access to through Nearpod. And these are just one of them, right? So there's, a huge library that you guys can choose from and add into any lesson that you want. So definitely, I think this is one of the most engaging activities that we have for sure. So now that, we're kind of getting a little bit more into a lesson, I might, actually get some real information here for my students. Now I'm asking, what do you think is closest to the Earth, the sun, or the moon? And you can see at the top left, I put a picture up of the sun and the moon. But what's really cool about this reference media at the top left is this can be anything from a picture, a video. It could be an audio of myself. I know now ed tech conferences are over, but there was, or at least now they're virtual. But last year when I was doing my tour of the ed tech conferences, the ISTEs and the KISTEs of the world, when teachers were at KISTE in their Nearpod lessons, they were putting their own audio of themselves in this reference media, and I thought it was such a cool way to engage with your students when you're not in the actual classroom, where they're still able to hear your voice and feel like, man, this is like Mr. Oliver teaching, or this is Ms. Washburn still teaching. And that's just one of the things that you can do. And even on your guys' end, as students, you can do audio submissions as well. One cool thing we can do with these as well, if I love an answer from one of my students, I can go ahead and share this out. And on your screens as students, you're going to see that answer. And I think that's just super important because it allows us to elaborate a little bit more. I know I was one of those students who I would be tuned in, but sometimes maybe too tuned in. And when folks are answering questions, I might not hear like another student. So being able to just see what a good answer looks like, and this possibly, if this was the moon with a supporting reason why and an example from the text, like students will be able to see what a great answer looks like. And I think that gets missed sometimes when students are just answering aloud. All right, we're gonna take a few seconds to do a short quiz, and you guys can just play the lottery here. No reason to take it too too serious, but just want you guys to feel what a quiz looks like. And I'll flip this so that you guys who aren't in the actual lesson can see what the quiz looks like as well. Just gonna give them a few seconds to maybe do this short quiz. So one of the great things about the quiz and any of the formative assessment that you're seeing is we're getting real-time assessment, right? So as we're going through the lesson, I'm able to see where my students' shortcomings are, where there might have been a lapse in communication and understanding, and I can flip the switch on the fly, right? So if I know so far I'm seeing number 3 is just something that we're not getting, we're not able to get number 3 right? And this, obviously you guys are just like guessing, so no hit at Matt and Danielle, but I'm seeing that our students aren't doing too well with number 3. First thing I might do is instantly share results with my students so they know how they're performing. But also, I can, at this top right, I can switch to student view, and we can literally go to question number 3 and walk through it together as a class, right? So I'm going all the way to question number 3. It's asking us, how long did it take Spirit an opportunity to travel to Mars? We can go answer by answer and break down, why did folks click A? Why did we hear C a lot? And maybe I'm even going back to the reference text and highlighting a little bit of where this answer really comes from, and just having that conversation with students in real time, where, I mean, all of you guys who are teachers and are in the classroom know gets missed a lot, right? That it's such a fast-paced kind of thing, and the next day is a new lesson. And if my students didn't understand number 3, I didn't necessarily get a chance to even really hone in on that. So if I do even see from after the follow-up, looking at number 3, that there's still a little bit of a lack of understanding, I can even add an activity on the fly. Maybe I'm doing a true or false just to get a quick gauge, like, is the moon closer than the sun? And true. I can share that out, and instantly I can get that feedback from you guys. You guys get an activity on your end, and I'm able to see and get again. These are real gauges as to where my students' understanding is, or where is their understanding. Is this, do we need to maybe go back? Do we need to take a little bit more time on this? And, that's what I think we ultimately would love to do as teachers, right? I call it like the highest level of instruction, but a lot of times it just gets missed, right? Just being honest with that. But I'm going to pause right there. and answer any questions that you guys may have, anything that you guys would like to highlight to my other folks who are on the call, and just take some time to give you guys some space to reflect, if anything.
Well, I was going to say real quick, Oliver, and Matt and Danielle can chime in as well, but we just read an article about, you know, what kids are going to be faced with when they come back, and it was kind of centered around whether or not you should immediately test, and kind of the consensus of the article was using something like Nearpod, you know, to do quick, easy, formative assessments so you're not inundating with kids with, you know, huge high stakes testing.
Right.
So this is just perfect for what we were literally just talking about as a team.
Yeah, I actually just had a conversation. Danielle and I were talking on Monday, and about, like, you know, going back to school and what that looks like. And I said, you know, I wonder if Oliver knows of any districts that are using Nearpod for a hybrid model, because that would be a really great way for students to participate if they're in the classroom or they're at home and they're learning at the same time. And so I was really happy that you brought that up. But also the question about the virtual reality stuff. If I have a 360-degree camera at home and I want to make a field trip for my students on my own, is it possible for me to upload those 360-degree pictures to Nearpod?
So you are there's a running number of the folks that would love to do that. And the amazing thing about Nearpod is it's built up enough buzz that is something that we're currently working on. Right now it's always been kind of like we have enough in our own library to kind of, you know, do anything, right? Like there's a virtual reality field trip to a staircase, or, you know, a classroom. There's so many different field trips that we always thought that might not have been something that we needed to do, but the call has been taken definitely to our content team and our tech team and product team, really, and they're actually working on that as we speak. I don't have an end date of when that might be rolling out, but if any of you guys are some big Nearpod fans, you guys know that we're constantly rolling out like new features and stuff. So definitely something I'll keep you guys updated with, but as of right now, not yet.
I appreciate appreciate the question, Matt, because I literally was working on something. I was working on a Nearpod deck last night and was trying to do that or something similar. So something else, Oliver, just keep in your back of your mind, like integrating Street View 360 content that's already out there, in addition to uploading a file that may be on somebody's computer. So that would be super helpful as well.
Yeah, that's in the works.
Yeah, and Oliver, I was going to say, I guess I really didn't realize it, but the whole recording the audio piece, I think that is great because when I looked at it, it asked me to accept permissions to record the audio. So I think that is a great feature to have in Nearpod as well.
Definitely, for sure. I think the student audio submissions for, you know, some of our students ends up being like a lifesaver, right? Even some of our folks who are first-time English learners, right? Like that's huge, right? Being able to put in audio submissions as a student, and even as a teacher, being able to have that within your lesson, I think goes a long way too. When we think about, you know, some of the student paced stuff, right? Like right now, this is a live lesson where I'm controlling your screens, but this could very well have been a lesson that I sent to you guys that's student paced, and you guys are going in at your own pace, your own time. This could be because of resources. Maybe I don't have a device until 6 o'clock at night, or it may be because, you know, I'm maybe struggling with this lesson and I need some more time. So I think that's where the audio submission, of course, relevant here still, but definitely has a little bit more of an impact as well. Any questions from anyone, or I'll give it a few seconds. I'm not really moderating the chat. Any questions that I need to answer? I'll give it a few more seconds, or if not, I can kind of go to how to navigate Nearpod a little bit more.
I think those are all the questions and feedback that you have, so we can continue to navigate.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to tab out of this lesson. And I know another question for some folks is just getting around Nearpod. So what I'm going to do is start with our lesson library. So those 8,000 lessons that I talked about are all right here, I like to call this kind of like the Netflix, if you will, for teachers, right? It's kind of super easy. If any of you guys have Netflix, they will show you like, because you watched like Breaking Bad, all that stuff, right? So it's like, this is kind of where you'll see all of those things, right? And if I'm a teacher in Kentucky, it's very simple for me to look for lessons. I can easily just click Kentucky, maybe looking at some math lessons, and I teach in the 5th grade. And if I even want to go to a specific strand, I can go as far as looking for generating 2 numerical patterns using 2 given rules. And I'm going to have a lesson that I can use and edit as well, right? Being able to deploy this lesson is as easy as just adding this to my library. And then if I click show in my library, it'll pop up and I can launch it live like we just did. Or, and it'll give me that code. Or I can even, do that student paste live with Zoom, whatever I want to do. A couple of things to note while you're here as well. These 3 dots here are going to be able to allow you to share it with teachers, duplicate that lesson, add that lesson to either a school or district library, or a specific folder that you might have in mind. You're also able to export every single lesson as a PDF in case you want to kind of take it to that pen and paper. You can look at reports for the specific lesson that you have in mind, or you can just completely delete the lesson. So those are a few things that I wanted to mention there. We also have our interactive video as well. So I know with the new hybrid model and kind of the uncertainty of where instruction is headed, none of us know anything anymore. But this is helpful with some kind of on the fly things, right? We got a bunch of feedback when COVID first hit that Nearpod's amazing. You guys have all this amazing content, but I just need something for like 5 minutes. I need a little bit of a teaser. I need something for, the asynchronous learning. And this was our answer. So we built something very similar to what Edpuzzle might offer you guys, but built in directly to Nearpod. So you have a bunch of lessons that are short, quick, have formative assessment, checks for understandings, and they're interactive videos. And you can also use videos from YouTube or videos from home. And that's something that you guys would have access to as well. And then also just to kind of walk it through this way, you have your videos here. You can search by lesson. This is going to give you all of your different subjects. You can look by publisher. These are going to have, a lot of the kind of big names that you guys are familiar with working with. And I'm sure I might already use, but, these are some of the lessons that we partnered with them to create some content. So just some notable ones that I know you guys probably might use already is Common Sense Media, Newsella, Lifelink, eFuture, all of these stuff I think are stuff that you guys might know already, but are just built into our lesson library. Lastly, we have some premium content. And this is something that I'm hoping to get into your guys' hands rather sooner than later, but this is going to cover everything from vocabulary to college and career exploration, digital citizenship and literacy, social and emotional learning, EL content, some teacher PD, and historical perspectives in literacy. And I think one of you guys mentioned earlier just how important that it was that we have some of this stuff already in Nearpod. And I think that's the big thing with Nearpod, right? Like, obviously we're all using, a bunch of edtech resources. I think even with COVID hitting us, we all were in like a reactionary state of like, what do we go to? What do we use? Videos were a big thing. YouTube was a big thing. We all were doing trials, trying to figure out what works best for ourselves and our students. And I think Nearpod does a really good job of being able to make all of those things that you want to use, all those instructional practices that you want to be able to implement in one place so that your students aren't getting lost, your students are staying engaged. It's easier for you as a teacher for lesson planning, lesson creation. And it's just seamless, right? We want to take some of that time away from that. You're doing some of this lesson planning and make it easy, and be able to integrate kind of all of that into this one platform. So I think that's the goal with Nearpod. That's what we hope to be able to offer to you all, and that kind of wraps up a little bit of the Nearpod 101. I plan on joining this a little bit more, but we'd love to open the floor again for some questions in case anybody has any, and if not, maybe give you guys some time back.
Yeah, so I don't see any questions right now in the chat, but like Matt said, that Nearpod is our approved alternative for Edpuzzle, just in case those teachers are looking for something to replace Edpuzzle with, as well as we are super excited that Leah Stark, she is also excited to use Nearpod and implement with her students. So there's just a lot of excitement going on in the chat right now.
For sure. Perfect. Well, if not, then if there's no further questions, please use me, guys. You guys know I'm here to work. Oh, and we got another little Nearpod guy right there. See him? Please use me as a resource. I'm super excited about Jefferson County. I think Nearpod is such a great solution that kind of connects with a lot of initiatives that you guys have in store. But yeah, please use me as a resource. I thank you guys for your time.